Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Roberta Hladek, who's the CEO and co-founder of Energetic Matrix Church of Consciousness, is on our phone, who is calling in from Las Vegas. And Roberta is a wise woman. I'm not going to say a wise old woman because she's not old, but she's a wise woman. And we cover a lot of subjects. And every month when she calls in, we either talk about what's going on with people now with their health or with their energy or what they can do to be better. But today I think we decided we would talk a little bit about the weather and what we're all experiencing. So what are you thinking? Have you had any very dangerous situations there in Las Vegas?
We haven't had dangerous situations at all, but the weather has been different than normal. And when I say normal, I've been here about 15 years, and always the summers have been very warm, like in the 115, 116. One year it was 120 for a couple of days. It's been hot. This year I noticed that our summer came very late, and it was very short-lived. And like this morning when I was coming to work, the temperature was 72, which is cool for us, and we haven't been getting up super high. So we only had like probably a couple of weeks where it was over, like 108, something like that.
That's like, I can't even fathom that, 108 degrees.
I know, but it was still cooler than what I remember. And, last year we did have that snowstorm. So I was talking to a guy the other day at the I had to take my car in for a checkup, and he was telling me that he was talking to a man that came in. He's very into the almanac, and he told him that in Las Vegas that it wouldn't be uncommon for us this year to have a week of snowstorm.
Really?
And so I thought, because every year that I've lived here, and we live further away from the Strip, so we're up higher in elevation, and we've had snow every year. So this last year, there's been like 3 times when it snowed really good, like this last year was the worst. But we've had it a couple other times where the kids could go sledding and things like that. So it is odd. And then we see the horrific things that are happening, down by you guys with the hurricanes.
Yes.
My nephew's in Cocoa Beach, and we were bracing for it this time because he had it last year. And then we see Texas. My goodness.
I know that.
I have a niece in Texas, and she sent me a video trying to get home, and there's one lane on the freeway that didn't have 2 feet of water in it.
Amazing.
And, what do you guys think? How are you guys doing?
Well, we watch the Atlantic and we see what's happening now. Bermuda's kind of getting stuff. But what happened in the Bahamas is just not to be believed. Those poor people, it's like there's just nothing there.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful place.
So I don't know what's going to happen. They did bring a big ship. They brought in about 1,200 people here to Palm Beach County, and that they got to now get them placed. And there's some people have families. But so I'm very much into of course, I don't even call it warming. It's just the whole weather conditions are changing, and it's because of I believe, because of not caring enough and not taking caution. We've taken advantage of a beautiful earth, and we can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Mother Earth is telling us to wake up and smell the coffee, I guess.
Well, in that woman, that young girl, I don't know how old, she's like, 15, 16, and she did this marvelous thing to be able to get so many people all over the country now to, stand up and be counted and protest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was hearing about that. I saw little clips of it, but I haven't watched the entire thing, so I'm going to try and do that today. Hopefully I'll have a chance to do so.
Of course, you're into energy, and that's what this young woman has. She has energy beyond her age, and she's just a wise young woman. And she just, I forget where she lived, but she wanted to come to the United States, but she wouldn't even take a plane because she didn't want to have that fuel, expose any more of the climate control. So I think she took a sailboat and she sailed across very large area. But she's an interesting woman. You need to really read about her.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look and see what she's all about. I've heard just this morning I was talking to a client, and he was mentioning her too. So she's making an impact on a lot of people.
Well, because who's going to be affected? The young people, the people now who are 10 and 12 and 20. They're the one that are going to really feel a lot of this. And they're finally standing up and saying, listen, this is an important issue. We have to all get behind it. You can't blame other countries. Let's do what we can do here.
Right.
And so
we do.
Yeah, I know that's what we're going to do. Okay, and then we said we were going to talk about that, but then you told me something interesting because I met you, and that's how I came with you and Steve, by reading that wonderful book, of course, that brought us together. And
Sanctuary.
Yeah, The Sanctuary. And so why don't you said you've been rereading it. Tell us what your impressions of it now, years later.
It's been, we wrote the book in 1998, I believe, and it's just still so current. I was traveling to California, which I do periodically, like every so often. I have family there, etc. So I go to California, and when I go, it's about a 4.5 hour trip. So I thought, well, this time I'm going to listen to a CD because sometimes, your transmission, whatever, you can't hear radio the whole way and that kind of thing. So anyway, I popped in Sanctuary, and I thought, I'm going to listen to this. And I was mesmerized again by our book. But it was so current, and there's so many things that were answered in Sanctuary. And you listen to this woman's, and Jane, who is the person that's going to see Stephen, and that's how the story starts, is she's been diagnosed with something that she wants to, she's been told basically that there's no hope.
Right. I think it was cancer, wasn't it?
Yeah. And she's a combination of many participants that we had at the time. And it's just interesting to hear what she's going through, how her mind, and in the beginning when one of her friends wanted her to go see Steve, she kind of poo-pooed it. And so now it's like when push comes to shove, now she wants to go and she wants to see him now. And they're not sure he's going to see her. Because a lot of times that happened in the office. We would have someone come in and they'd think that it was just somebody had pushed them to come in and they just didn't want to do it. So they would leave. So then Steve would say, well, we have so many other people that want to get in. They're going to be pushed to the end of the list kind of thing. But anyway, the book shows his heart, and it really gives you an insight of what Stephen was really all about, and about why we're a church, because a lot of people look at that and they go, nope, it's a cult, it's this, it's that. They have their preconceived ideas about things because of things that have happened, and they go run tapes, I guess you can call it. But the reason that we're a church is because we believe that everything is energy and everything is spiritual. And so when we're in misalignment with the earth and with the energy that's out there, that's what creates disease. And that creates disharmony in us. And so we believe that if we can balance your energy, then that'll bring you back to balance, and then you can remove some of these issues that you have.
And you would be surprised about something. So my dog Charlie, which I've spoken about many times on the radio, is not doing well. And so I've had him, put him in a blanket, actually a towel, and I have been sitting holding him on the couch and all, because I'm trying to impart my energy, which is very strong, to him, to get him energized. Because I believe that you can take your energy and help other people with it.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And sometimes we find that, you'll have one person on the AIM program in the family, say maybe the husband or the wife, and the other partner is a non-AIM. And then you find that they pick up on that energy even though they're not on the program.
Right.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, well, I'm doing the best I can with it, but I do believe in energy so much. And it's funny, when I'm here in the radio show and I have guests, I think that I impart a lot of energy into the conversation when they're here. So some of them come in very nervous. They've never done the radio before. And then on the other hand, I'm so energetic about it, it just captures them. I could see them almost rising in their chair.
Aw, well, you have an awesome energy, and you always make, for me, a person being on the radio, and when I first started with you, you always made me feel, and you still do, always make me feel so comfortable. I feel like it's very easy to talk to you, and you have such a positive outlook on things, and you're so energetic. It's contagious.
Thank you. Well, and I don't know where it comes from. It's not something I learned. It's funny. I look back in my life, and I've always had this. Have you always had many of the things you have now?
I believe so. I think it's just we tap into it.
Yep. Yeah.
I think it's always been there on some level, and sometimes it would come out in little parts.
Right. And when you see people that don't, you can always trace it almost back to their family and their parents and all. I think that's terrible, but you can always see that people who are really down, you can ask them, most of the time they don't have parents who are very up.
Right.
And they learned it.
Exactly.
Right?
But you can shift that.
Okay.
And I've seen it happen. There's a participant that I have who grew up in a family that was probably pretty dysfunctional, for lack of a better word. But his mother never gave him any positive feedback. None. And he grew up thinking he wasn't worthy, thinking that he couldn't do whatever. And he had a breaking point in his 40s. And he had almost like a nervous breakdown. He got very depressed, and he was just feeling like life wasn't worth living. His mother had passed on, and all this stuff was coming up. And he would call me and say, "What the heck is going on with me?" And so we'd talk through things, and I would tell him what I'm finding in him, because those are frequencies, yes, but a lot of it he had to deal with. And my goodness, he came up back on the other side, and he is the most positive, happy, uplifted person that I've ever met.
Isn't that great?
His career is soaring, and he goes, "If I would have been like this when I was a kid, I would be unstoppable." And I said, "Well, you're unstoppable now, so take it and run with it."
Well, we talk so much about autism and what you have been able to do with those children and all Down syndrome, and a lot of them, I've met quite a few because I was on a board for the Down syndrome, what we used to call ARC, which is the Association of Retarded Citizens. And the children do have an amazing energy. They just, unfortunately, can't get it in order, but it's there.
It is. And they're smart,
Yep.
and they're loving,
Yep.
and they've got all this. When you meet them, they have a vibrance about them, and it's sad that it can't be unleashed in a lot of these folks. And that's what the AIM program helps do. It helps break down those barriers and clear out those cobwebs and help them to be able to express themselves. And yes, we have to do the work ourselves. So some of us go at a faster rate, some at not so fast a rate, but it's so important for these folks to be on the program, I think. It doesn't hurt them, and they can still be on medication or do whatever else they're doing to help their situation, but it's just that extra assurance, that guidance that can help them to exceed.
And you've told me that a lot of the parents of these children have seen definite results, positive results, haven't you?
Absolutely. We have so many parents that, and it's a hard road for them, but some of these moms and dads, and some of them are together and some of them aren't, and some are just with caretakers, but the information that we get from them and the support that they give these kids, I find that the ones that do the best, and some are adults, the ones that do the best are the ones that have the most support.
Yep.
We have an older man that's in his 70s now, and he had a caretaker, and the caretaker was the one that put him on the program.
Huh.
And she would send us amazing reports, and she was so determined to help this man get to where he needed to be. And she was just so forceful, and she was just there for him. It was just, and you would feel the love in the articles that she would send us. And she got him on TV. They had an event at the home where he was at, and they showed these folks and how they had excelled and how he was now living on his own, and he could cook his own dinners, and they just had a microwave. But he could do that, and he could clean up after himself, and she was just so thrilled, and she always said it was because he was on AIM that it helped him.
Yeah, the AIM program is amazing, and you and I have been talking for many years about it, and of course, and I believe in the energy, the whole system of energy so much, and the fact that you are able to take the computers and pick up on it and be able to figure out what energy and what's going down with somebody. I mean, I still don't know how that happens, but you do, of course.
Well, we do, and I'm always looking for the, I guess like Steve always talked about, the bottom of the barrel, but I don't know if we'll ever reach the bottom of the barrel because I think we're all works in progress. I think it's, we're just learning every day new things, finding new things, and I got a call from one of my participants this morning who was over the moon excited, older man. He's been diagnosed as he had heart issues. He's had a couple of heart attacks. He's had diabetes, you name it, and it seems like he's had it. Like he said, I've had everything under the sun. And this morning he told me he just got back from the doctor, and he's lost 40 pounds. His A1C is almost normal. They're taking him off 2 heart medications because he no longer needs them. I mean, he's just totally thrilled. He's been a participant for quite a long time, and he's gone up and down sort of in his weight, but he's on a very easy regimen, he says, for him to stick with. And he's just doing fabulous, and he had such a new lease on life. His energy and his voice, everything was just different then. And I've known him for a very long time, so I've heard his voice over and over. And you know when you hear someone's voice and they're just totally different than they were before,
Right.
he was just, it just made me so happy to hear him. And he was just so thrilled, and he couldn't wait to tell me.
And do you recall how he found you? How he found your program?
He found us through a friend of his. And that friend of his told him, you've got to check this out. And he was a bit skeptical.
Sure.
But he figured he would try it. And now he's got his whole family on, all the kids. They've been on since the day they were born.
So now I want to tell everybody about this. The way to get on this program or to look it up is to go to aimprogram.com on the web, AIM, A-I-M, program.com, and you're going to want to see what this really is. It's an extraordinary program. I don't think there's anything like it in the world or definitely in the country. And if you believe in energy and how to capture it, that's what they do there. And they have thousands of people on it. I've been on it for many, many years, and it really is it's so positive. See, you don't even know what's happening because if you're a member of it, they kind of put everybody together in a sense, and you send in your pictures, so that's where your energy comes from. You know, we all know that's why some tribes don't want their picture taken because they feel that you're going to steal their, what are you going to steal, their energy?
Exactly. And that's true because, you know, we always think about the eyes are the center of the soul, and you can see, like, they have the doctors that can look into your eyes and pretty much diagnose you. So it is true, absolutely.
And so what you have, though, of course, are these trays. It's hard for people to understand that. You might want to just describe that for a minute, and we still have a little bit of time left. It's hard. I mean, I know what it is, but you tell them what happens when they join and they send their picture, what you do with it.
Well, what we do is when you send in your application, we test the photograph to get your life force. That's your inner strength. And we want to make sure that your higher consciousness will let you have these energies. Sometimes we're blocked, and it might be because we have questions. It could be anything. And then once we've got that, then we digitize your photograph and we put it on these trays, and they're in bins that are, I guess they're probably about 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall, and they have trays inside them. And online, we have pictures of the tray room, which is what we call our sanctuary. And we have metal plates that vibrate that are attached to a set of computers that are sending the energy to the trays, which that is what's actually making them vibrate. We all vibrate at a particular level, so when we match our vibration with the trays that are vibrating, then we remove the negative vibrations. Each one of us individually remove our own negative vibrations because they cancel each other out. That's basically what it does, and then it raises your life force and gives you more strength, more energy to overcome adversities in your life, whether it's illness or whether it's, things going on in your life, positives, negatives, whatever it happens to do, but it keeps us into a more balanced state, so we are able to ward off the negative.
And all across the country, as we have here in Palm Beach County, of course, I know Colleen, you have, what do we call them? They're like
the facilitators.
The facilitators. So if you're having a problem, you go ahead and you go to a facilitator, and she works with you, but she works with them, and she helps them, because I know how good Colleen is.
Yes, absolutely. They're the kind of like the liaison between us and you. And they send you the information or talk to you about new things that we have on the program. When we do a recheck on you, they would be the ones that would disseminate that information to you. And also, what they do is if you're having any kind of issue or question, they're able to answer all those questions for you as well.
Right. Yeah, and all you have to do is, in order for someone to find the facilitator, they'll contact you, and because once they join the organization, then you share who would be the closest person for them in their location, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
we try and find a good fit for you.
Right. And so I'm going to give you the website again. It's aimprogram.com. Or let's see. You do have an 800 number? I don't have it on my sheet now.
We actually don't have an 800 number, but we have our phone number here, which is 702-944-1801.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I have that. Oh, okay. That's the landline. So they could call that number, and then they'll get someone who, if they tell them they want an application, that would be good enough, and then from there on, they'll find someone who will help them, a facilitator here in South Florida.
Absolutely. They can give us a call at that number, and we can help them out and have an application mailed to them, or we can direct them to the website where they can download an application. Or if they just want more information, we can have someone contact them that's near them and talk to them, and sometimes they can even meet with the person.
Right. It's interesting that I haven't talked about Wayne Dyer for a long time. I was close friends with, not real close, but I was friends with Wayne Dyer, and we did some things together, and he is very, very close to your organization.
Yeah.
He loved you and what you did and believed in it so much. So It's people with great minds who really understand what you all are talking about.
Absolutely. He was an amazing man. He's very missed.
Yeah, well, he's probably doing something somewhere we don't even know.
I know.
just like Steve is,
Yeah.
We don't know what happens. That's the mystery, isn't it? The mystery.
It is. It
right?
is.
Yeah, I know. And I just like death so much, because so many people we love and we respect aren't here with us anymore, and yet you have to assume that their energy, maybe they don't look the same, but the energy is somewhere doing something, right?
Absolutely. I think so. I think they did everything they could do in this lifetime, so now they're on to another dimension, maybe.
Yeah.
And helping us to do things, maybe. Who knows?
Well, they better start working faster because this world is in chaos.
Yeah, it's a little topsy-turvy right now, that's for sure.
Right. We have to do something to help. So I don't know if I told you this. Maybe I did, but we have our Boomer Expos, and I think we're running out of time. I'll say it real fast. We had an organization from Las Vegas that came, and they want to have a booth in Las Vegas, and they're going to give out some 2-3 nights, or 4 days or whatever. And so we're going to do something about Las Vegas in our upcoming January Expo.
Oh, very
Isn't
nice.
that interesting, right?
That's so great.
I'll tell you more about it. So we've had enough time. That's it, Roberta. It was wonderful talking to you, and I always just love it, especially today. And I'll keep you up to date about what we're doing with little Charlie.
Okay, and I'll take a look at him too, and I'll let you know what I find.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, okay?
You too.
All right.
Have a great day.
Thank you, honey. Bye.
Bye.